Hello there everyone, welcome. I am Denzea and today I'm going to be reacting to Bricky's What Even Are AAA Games Anymore? Now, this is a subject quite near and dear to my heart as I have played a lot of games in my life. My dad made me grow up with games since I've at a very young age, and even before I even went to like primary school, play school, and my mum and dad were teaching me via a lot of educational games. I've even got a few floating around in here somewhere. Um, so I've always loved games. They've always been near and dear to my heart, and they've always allowed me to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. However, as much as they can be really fun, there has certainly been a decline in a lot of games. Some managed to pull through, AAA or not, a la Elden Ring or the Resident Evil 4 remake. But I feel there are a lot that just completely slip through the cracks. Some games, they don't even have to be AAA games, I feel. Even like look at the Gollum game that's at the time of recording has been announced and shown. It is a bit of a tragic affair. And I feel like it's the time when games are made solely for money, no longer for the joy of making the game. So I'm interested to see what Bricky says about AAA games in this, because they are, or at least were for a long, long period of time, a massive part of the industry. And without them, we wouldn't really have the games we have now. So I'm interested to see what he says about this stuff. Okay, and now if we're ready, I shall start the video and let's see what he has to say. I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I love Bricky. I think he's great.
Before we get started on this video, this episode of Bricky Brings You Content is brought to you by my sponsor, Bespoke Post.
Nope, auto-generated
is a monthly membership club delivering a box of all kinds of various items from top shelf and under the radar brands.
I like bespoke stuff. I truly do.
Introduce their members to cool different products, things like outdoor gear,
I like trying to
barware,
look smart.
goods, clothing, and even more. All of this entirely based on a preference quiz that you fill out when signing up. The lineup changes every month, but each box of awesome has around $70 in value, but you only pay a fraction of the price. In fact, 90% of the products in Bespoke Post come from small brands, many of which are right here in the US. And what should be made clear is that while you can sign up
right here in the US,
you don't owe any money until
definitely
you
where I'm
decide
from.
to pick a box. You
Truly.
only pay for what you want.
Howdy, partner.
You can even decide if you want to keep it,
I don't know how you say it,
for a different box, or skip the month entirely for absolutely no charge. Throughout this ad, you've seen me unboxing 3 of the boxes I chose. The 3 I specifically went with were the Concentrate, Explore, and Wabi Sabi boxes.
I would probably really like to explore. I love going out and exploring.
Caffeine addiction, and anything a new coffee sounds lovely to me. Explore because despite the fact that I am in busy suburban SoCal, we do have plenty of different fun trails and hiking areas you can go through. And Wabi Sabi because sushi is my favorite food of all time.
And sushi is really good. I love sushi.
More Californian things I can say, but hey, I know who I am. I will certainly be using the things I got from these 3 boxes. And
I suppose that makes sense with a lot of his backgrounds, I suppose.
First ever box of awesome, and not only that, but get it for 20% off. Click the link in the description and enter code Bricky20 at checkout, or go to bespokepost.com/Bricky20. Thanks again to Bespoke Post for sponsoring this video. Head on over to the link in the description to get 20% off your first box with code Bricky20.
20% is a decent amount.
Everybody.
Hello, Bricky.
My name is Bricky. Currently, well, feeling a little whelmed. Not overwhelmed or underwhelmed, but just
mood.
Whelmed. I stand here in front of the green screen I painted on my closet wall, thinking to myself,
I want that.
This is certainly one of the days of all time. $70. $70. It's a lot of money. It's also like not a lot of money. I recall a conversation I had with a friend on the discussion of the $100 bill and how it is simultaneously a lot of money and almost no money.
Now, I'm English. I don't understand the exchange rate from English to dollar all that well. Games over here tend to cost around 60 or 50 quid. 50 to 60 quid. So I don't understand this part very well, admittedly, so far.
$100 is a decent amount of groceries, a nice dinner date for you and someone special, refilling a lot of cleaning supplies around the
Wait, does it really cost $100 for a decent dinner in America for 2 people? Seriously?
house, or even a lot of essential bits of clothing like simple name brand underwear, socks, t-shirts. You can get a lot for $100, but it's
I would call Bricky Daddy.
Not even a month's worth of electricity, a fraction of rent, and just barely covering a full tank of gas in 2023. And over the past
relatable
5 years, even the $100 that meant a lot feels like it's meaning less and less with rise in inflation,
£5 for eggs, that's
wages, and a housing market that is at best infuriating and at worst unfixable. Along with the price of basically everything else, video games are also increasing in cost, going from the $60 they have been for over a decade to $70 for the quote AAA game. This recent price jump has been made extremely known to us, as its reveal was superset between the release of a game that couldn't be played and a game that nobody wanted to play, which now leads us to a discussion. What should a $70 game really be? Or better yet, what is a AAA game that is worth such a price point? Because
I'm so glad he uses Resident Evil 4 for that, because legitimately, it might be a remake, but they've done such a good job. It might as well be its own standalone game. It's phenomenal. And Redfall was just... I didn't get it. I saw what it looked like, and I refused. I absolutely refused. I was not going to spend my money on something like that when I'm well aware of just how poor a game like that is made. It's a real shame, because there are probably people who worked really hard on it. Typical.
Throughout my entire life, games have been priced at either $50 or $60. From as young as I can remember playing.
I remember when Halo Reach was released, my dad took us over to get Halo Reach. I remember it costing either 25 or 30 quid, which is £30. And I remember that being like this typical price of PS2 games and even early 360 games. Actually, I think it jumped up to around 50 to 60 quid when they released the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I think that was when it jumped up to that kind of pricing.
Video games, they were like $50. But a quick Google search says that roughly around 2006, they started retailing for $60. This would have made me 11 years old. Or in Call of Duty release timeframe scale, a year before COD 4. That's how I remember video game years, is COD release dates. It's all off the top of my head right now. Ghosts 2013, Modern Warfare 2 2009, Black Ops 2 2012.
I never got into Call of Duty all that much. I played a good amount of World at War and Modern Warfare 2. But that was primarily it. That's mainly my Call of Duty experience. I played a very, very minor amount of the Black Ops 1 game, I think it was. But after that, I just sort of never played. I never even played Modern Warfare 1. I played some of the original 3 when I was younger. One of my cousins had it and we would play it together. But that's about my entire experience with the Call of Duty franchise. Yeah. Sorry, Bricky.
It's all there. So that means we haven't had a general price increase for about 17 years. Damn. It's not to say there haven't been ways to get more money out of games, of course. Deluxe editions, promising in-game items going for up to $100 or more. DLC.
I will never play Counter-Strike because of that reason. I refuse to on principle.
Or, as they used to say, or call it my day,
I have that on the PS1.
And other microtransactions insulated a lot of the $60 purchases, which...
Assassin's Creed.
Hot take. I'm actually surprised the $70 price tag didn't come sooner. If you look at it from a pure inflation standpoint, $60 in 2006 is almost $90 today. Plus, it's not like the cost of making games has stayed the same. Games are made by people like you and me.
And they need money.
That their wages haven't also needed to go up to facilitate a more expensive economy would be generally incorrect. Ironically, when you look at it in relative terms, video games have actually gone down in price over the years.
I would agree with that.
Cost for a while,
honestly,
while costing more to make, while not adjusting for inflation, which would make sense why there have been such an absolute abundance in microtransactions and upsells.
This is the issue for me, is if it were just a 60 quid game, like Elden Ring, for example, I'm going to use that as a good example, honestly. I feel like I underpaid for that game. I like to play or pay 1 hour for a £1, basically, is my rule set. I think many people go for that now. And I have gotten well over 300 hours, 400 hours in Elden Ring. I'm not going to get into it. So I feel like I desperately underpaid with Elden Ring. But when there's a game with microtransactions, I will pay. I play a lot of League of Legends, and I buy some of the skins and that because I've got sunk thousands of hours into League of Legends. Still crap at it, by the way. But I don't feel good about playing a game where there's tons of microtransactions. I don't feel good about playing the game. In a game like Elden Ring, where I've bought the game and I can play it, I feel so much happier playing the game. Microtransactions, even if they're even in the game, can ruin it for me. Because I can sense the greed. Which sounds a bit odd, but hey ho.
To make up the difference. So our new price point of $70
Just sell
has
more.
been
Easy.
created. And let's
sell
be
more
real,
games.
None of us can stop it now.
No.
The precedent has been set, and every major
We're gonna
publisher
be stuck
is
with
just happy that someone
microtransactions
else
for a
did it
long time.
first, so they don't appear to be the boogeyman. I will go out and say I don't mind that the new price of AAA games is $70. I was astonished it remained $60 for as long as it did. But I will say two things. One, I should not be your base metric. Thanks to the success of this channel, the sponsors I have, streams I do,
Does make a difference. ASMR boys.
and lovely community like yourself that shows up and watches these videos and buys merchandise at orchidate.com.
This is definitely not promotion. No, this is not promotion. This is giving people awareness. This is awareness. Let's go with that.
I am doing very, very well for myself. I am not the average person. I am not the working class. So my $70 is very different than your $70. And it does me good to constantly remind myself of that. And two, the game has to be worth $70 fucking dollars. Redfall is not
this
worth
is the big one.
$70. Jedi Survivor on PC should not be $70.
Now this is the big thing. I've heard a lot of very good things about this game. Until it comes to the PC release. Until it comes to PC. And then it's not so good. Then it's not so good.
I should not have to pay $70 for a broken game with the hope it'll be fixed later.
Oh,
you don't
Lord.
pay for a car and have the dealers say, yeah, all the tires are popped and it has no windshield, but it'll be fixed at some point.
Well,
when? In the future. When in the future?
When will then be now? Soon.
fuck, I need to watch Spaceballs now.
How soon?
If I can make a blanket statement today, it's this. I don't give a shit if your game is $10, $40, $70. It's a fucking product. I don't sell people half a goddamn shirt. I don't care about your deadlines. Don't sell me something broken. Lick your wounds, post your cyberpunk delay image, and fix your shit before it comes out. Swallow.
Elden Ring delayed only a few months, I think, but there are some games where they delayed, like Breath of the Wild. I know they delayed that quite a few times, and Tears of the Kingdom. And while they're not my favourite Zelda games in the world, I do love them, by the way. Don't hate me on that. They're flawless in their design in so many ways, honestly. I hate the durability stuff, but that's a personal thing. It's not that the game has any real issues. They're completely issueless.
Your prime and
unlike
to whoever ran the PC
maybe not God of War. I've not played God of War
2018 because that game can run on my fucking Tamagotchi. Of course, I speak to the publishers more than anything. I do not fault the individual devs. I fault the unrealistic deadlines and management of those above them. Your game needs to work. Yeah?
Yep.
Whew. Management. Yes, management. Next part of the script.
They are such babies. I am going to leave them in there.
Management that seems to be present in the AAA industry more than most others. Those that are at fault, I refer. Because this whole thing begs another main question.
Yep.
What even is AAA game?
At this point, it's really unclear, isn't
Why'd I
it?
say that way? What even is AAA game? What is AAA? What even is a AAA game anymore? Not only what it is, but once it's defined, is it even a sustainable?
So there are a lot of people who look at a game like Gollum and think that's a AAA game, but there are a lot of people who look at Gollum and go, no, that's an indie game. I think the lines these days are so blurred due to the sheer lack of quality and control in some games. Whereas a lot of indie games can have far superior controls and quality. And it's not even AAA, even like a AA game, where even their quality can just be so far above and far superior than what is considered a AAA game. The lines are so blurred, there isn't really even a line anymore. Lines are all gone, basically. They just don't exist.
Concept. Like, the line between AAA game and the rest of the world's products is getting constantly blurred.
Yep.
For many, AAA is a standard of quality. An example of this would have been Blizzard a few years back. Blizzard games were notoriously high quality. Often their ideas weren't the first, but they were something that was really nailed down. It kind of made me have this feeling of like the Apple of video games, where nothing Apple does is particularly brand spanking new and crazy new technology, but they tend to make the things they do make really polished. Overwatch 1 was a great example of this. When it came to the individual
need more game
modes
modes,
Overwatch, everything felt rather pristine. The UI was smooth and transitioned well. The character designs looked unique, and the animations were crafted in a way that felt as if industry veterans were making them.
It felt like a 3D cartoon. It felt like one of those really highly polished 3D cartoons, and I loved it because of that. I only got bored of it because I found there were a lack of game modes and ways to play the game, honestly, for me. I like PvE as well. I like fighting AI. Hey, Overwatch 2, how you doing?
Too play a part in this. Not photorealistic per se, but its own special feeling and art style. The game was also relatively bug-free. I don't remember encountering any bugs in the launch of Overwatch. My only real issue was the server capacity, but even then, like, I kind of get it. I still got a ton of games in regardless. We have quality. Right. Another thing to be associated with AAA is the size of the games. What are you offering? How much content is there? If we take a trip back and we think about Halo Reach and Elden Ring, like, that game was jam-packed for what it had.
That's so much content, it was ridiculous.
8-hour campaign that can be played normal or co-op.
I still play the campaign.
A co-op horde game mode, a fully fledged multiplayer with a ton of customization, maps, and game modes. Forge, a massive map customizer that could be a game in itself, and custom games. The hilarious game modes that were played from the maps you made in Forge.
If anyone wants to play those games with me, I'm very happy to play those kind of games in Halo Reach with people. I would love to do that. Oh my god, we will never have a game like Halo Reach again, will we? Well, at least in terms of the quality and quantity of stuff in the game. The only game I can even think of where I could play it as long as that, modern times, would probably be Elden Ring or Resident Evil 4 Remake. And they're not really comparable because they're very, very different games.
This was a massive game. The sheer volume of content to be played is staggering.
Preferred Halo 3, loved Reach though,
so we
absolutely
have
loved
A,
it.
quality, B, size, and finally C, the name. And we can't pretend as if the name isn't a huge part of what makes a game AAA. Like, your studio could be 40 people or 400 people, but if I slap Activision Blizzard on it, Electronic Arts, or Naughty Dog, it's going to be taken as if it's a AAA.
Naughty Dog, good quality, tends to be. Activision Blizzard at the moment, need I say... Actually, no, Diablo 4 I've heard is pretty good. I do want to play Diablo 4. But need I really say more of Activision Blizzard?
And this extends to people working on it. If you have Troy Baker voicing your lead, that means something. If Laura Bailey or Jennifer Hale are contracted, it assumes you have
great voice actors, by the way.
Smaller companies simply don't have. The industry is all names at the end of the day anyway, right? So those are your 3 ABCs of AAA: quality, size, and names.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's a few other points missing, but these are a good 3.
The building blocks of a major AAA release video game. Or are they?
Not
Day
anymore.
by day, one,
Not
two,
anymore.
or even all three of these factors are being abandoned. It's not uncommon for a game to be missing some or all of the building blocks,
Good now.
yet still masquerade
No Man's Sky just
itself as AAA
was not good
video
early on,
game.
though.
Let's look at Cyberpunk when it came out, right? Size? Absolutely there. Present in all its glory.
Yep.
Name? 100%.
Yep.
CD Projekt Red. Well respected. Quality?
Very well.
And
So, I never watched any of the trailers for Cyberpunk, nor did I get that invested in the hype train for the game. I knew friends who did, my brother certainly did, and he was constantly nagging on to me about the game. I wasn't too concerned with it personally. My brother got it. I played the game when it came out, admittedly, but we played on the PS4 Pro. I really liked it, honestly, when it came out. I found it to be a buggy, yeah, very buggy. But I had really good fun with the game, actually, because I didn't have all these expectations a lot of other people had. I know there was apparently a lot of missing features in the game. I didn't have any issues with them, really, since I didn't know what was missing. So I enjoyed the game for what it was. Though I did know it was very, very buggy.
an absolute failure, a cautionary tale on the very concept of pre-ordering a title. It lives in infamy, despite the fact that it's okay now. But
Yeah,
I
it's good
didn't
now.
buy Cyberpunk for it to be okay now. Apex Legends. Names? EA and Respawn. I mean, that pulls weight. Quality? Bit iffy on that one. Game constantly breaks. Servers have issues
had
often.
fun,
And I've encountered my fair share of bugs.
but that's
and
like season
cheaters.
2 or season
Size?
3.
I don't think so. There are a few maps, sure, but for the most part, it's one big game mode and a couple side modes.
Yeah,
It
that
lacks
was
a
my
campaign
issue.
And any co-op mode that its predecessor, Titanfall 2, had.
Good game.
both of.
Very
Now,
good game.
Apex is not a
Play
$60
Titanfall 2,
game,
guys.
but they shove microtransactions
Yeah.
into you so often. The amount of horrendously expensive events that it hits you with day in and day out, and still having loot boxes
Yeah.
in 2023. Good God, even Blizzard abandoned those in Overwatch 2. Their solution
Says a
isn't
lot.
much better, but
No, but says a lot.
goddamn. And we don't even need to cover Redfall. We don't even need to cover Redfall, all right? All I had going for it was the
Oh.
name Arcane. The rest is an evident failure. In fact, Arcane is a question in itself. Is that considered a AAA studio? It has a AAA publisher behind
No,
it.
I
now,
wouldn't say so.
Bethesda, But
I'd
a
say
game
double
like
A.
Prey, which is a personal favorite of mine, feels extremely AAA, but it doesn't have a big name or big size. It's entirely a product of quality. I mean, League of Legends is the biggest game in the world, and all you do is load onto the game map day in and day out, and you break your computer when Yasuo outplays you under the turrets. So
Okay, I complained about Overwatch not having many game modes. I complained about Apex not having many game modes. So why do I play League of Legends? That is a very good question, and I don't know the answer. I mainly play it with friends, to be fair, so that's mainly why.
So this ABC, quality, size, and name, building
Does it
blocks
say
you've
it's
created
AAA?
are already falling apart. The shooter
Maybe.
games of 2010s with the campaign, multiplayer, and co-op mode isn't a good metric to go by
God.
anymore. And we can't just use made by X company anymore either.
No.
I am a look back and I see Ghost of Tsushima and Hades, my top two games for that year. One by Sucker
Good
Punch
games.
Studios and the other by Supergiant Games. Ghost of
Very good
Tsushima
games.
has all the hallmarks of being AAA. The game carries tons of talent, has a grand scale and quality to
Yep.
match. It is a genuine treat to play and
Fantastic
replay.
game,
But Sucker Punch
fantastic game.
Studios is not a group that some of you might even be familiar with. For some of you
The name?
I'm a 27-year-old man and I'm about to break into this bit. You youngsters out there don't realize Sucker Punch Studios made the infamous games. Super underrated titles.
That's
back in
where
the
I know them
Xbox
from.
360 era.
I liked
Now
Infamous.
it's
Infamous
time.
was fun.
See, Sucker Punch carried a lot of weight back then, their name. Hades, though, puts AAA stuff to shame. It hits all
Yeah.
three building blocks easily with its quality,
Fantastic
length,
game.
and
Absolutely
name recognition.
fantastic.
But Supergiant is a tiny-ass studio. How does one call
Play
them
Hades,
AAA
late
at
guys.
the end of the
Play
day?
Hades.
Is it the price point? I would have paid $70 for Hades. The amount of hours I put in that game and the quality of it is insane.
I
It's made by
would happily
Supergiant,
pay more
teeny little
than what I
studio.
paid for
And
it.
it only costs dollar amounts. I don't remember how much it costs.
I think I
Skater,
got
put
it
that
for
right
like
there, please.
15
And
quid.
so,
I
like,
think I got it
indies
for.
in general can do stuff better than the big names can. Like Supergiant is a constant reminder that
So
quality
good.
is not
I'm
just
so looking forward to
budget,
Hades
but
too.
also talent. individual talent from devs. They're putting out games that run flawlessly and can feel like pieces
I've got it on my Switch,
of art.
and I love it on my Switch.
People think that like making a video game, being a dev is just plug and play. Like just code it this way. Just formulate it this way. Just balance
Making a game
it
is a
this
work
way.
of
That's
art
like
and
saying,
a work of
yeah,
art.
it's easy to play basketball. Just do what LeBron does. Building a game is a skill, and being a dev means that you are good at that skill, but there are devs that are better at skills than others.
Yep.
Supergiant has accumulated this group of devs that are, while small, really fucking good at their jobs. Owlcat Games. Oh man, Pathfinder and that new Rogue Trader game.
I'm looking forward to the
actually got a
Rogue Trader
chance
game.
to demo, which was really good.
Excellent.
And I think people are going to be really happy with that one.
I am.
Please, if you wanted to, you'd be on these titles for genuine years with almost no reasons to put them down. Hell, I'm playing this game right now called Moonbreaker by Unknown Worlds, creators of Subnautica.
Never heard of.
It's a
Oh.
turn-based multiplayer game where you can
Ooh.
control little miniatures that you can paint and fight other opponents and their lists. It's a bit
This speaks to me.
Warhammer Kill Team, a bit XCOM, and a bit Mechanicus, all wrapped into one. Thing is, the voice talent they have is astounding. Over and over, I hear voices I constantly recognize, either from games like
Interesting.
League and Overwatch, or just, you know, there's Matt Mercer. Moonbreaker.
He's in everything.
is
I love Matt Mercer.
an amazing game.
I'll
Okay,
have to give it that
that's
go
probably
then.
my subject for my next video, and I'm terrified. The
Moonbreaker.
player count right now is not very high, but oh my god, it's so good.
Might have
It's
to give that a
so
go.
good.
It sounds
But
really fun.
Going back from there, there's the question again, right? What even is a AAA game anymore? All the things that are synonymous with AAA can either be done as well or better by a smaller company, or
Yeah.
games that used to be considered AAA are plummeting and failing
Yep,
at that very
yep,
So
yep.
I ask again for the 40th time this video, what even is a AAA game anymore? Google says it's a game with a big budget, made by a name brand publisher.
Doesn't really.
That's not what it used to be, but that's
No.
what it's become. AAA back then meant a type of game, a big studio game with lots of content,
Yeah.
great quality, and name brand talent.
That's
now
what I think of
it's
it
a
as.
game with lots of money with a good studio. The entire concept of AAA, of AAA quality, has changed. It's in a weird way a house of cards. To be a high-profile game made by a big publisher is to submit yourself to the extreme gamble, because to make that, you need a high budget. And that budget isn't exclusively being used on the game. There's a great video on Casper mattresses made by YouTuber Modern MBA, will link in the description, which
Thank you.
explains the absolutely astonishing amount of money spent on advertising that direct-to-consumer companies often spend.
I feel like
Often,
advertising's a
Silicon
lot of the
Valley
money.
venture capital people, the tech bro is like the new dollar jock at this point. They find themselves in the video game industry seeing either a quick buck or the next major thing to invest in. But investing in America isn't just about getting a little bit more money back. It's never-ending increases in profits.
Yep.
To be profitable isn't enough. If you had
No.
25% more
And that's
profits
the
one
issue.
year, the next has to be 35. Being 15 isn't acceptable, despite the fact that you're still making money
Yep.
over your cost. I
You
know
have to
I
keep
have some
increasing,
fans in the
increasing,
game industry,
increasing.
and I feel like even in the smaller studios, the amount of higher-ups that just have a ton of money but no idea what making a game is like
Nope.
is prevalent. The amount of times you are forced under horrible deadlines, terrible working conditions,
I
and
feel so
God
so-
knows what video
I'm going to pause it here. I feel so sorry for game developers. So, for example, let's go to Gollum, right? Does not look very good at all in any way, shape, or form. But I can guarantee you, those developers have tried, or very likely tried the hardest. They might know. They know the developers. They absolutely know the issues with the games. They absolutely know when the product isn't finished. They absolutely know when the game is going to disappoint someone. For the most part, most do anyway. And oh my God, I feel so sorry for them because they end up with all the backlash for what corporate businesses do. Oh no, we need you to make your game this way. Oh no, we need your game to be exactly like this game. Oh no, we need to try and steal the market from this game. So we're going to make your game look like this game, but worse. And that will absolutely incentivize people to come play our game and not just play the game they already like. I feel like none of these people went to any kind of business school or have any kind of common knowledge outside of money, 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 money. I am a greedy gremlin. Gremlin, that's the word. Yay.
Video game company culture, because a whole bunch of dudes from San Francisco with a trust fund their dad gave them is now flushing full your company with capital. And now you got to do what they say. But that number,
and they don't know what they're doing,
has to keep going up and up and up. So 60.
Oh, you've earned 20% extra this year? Make it 30 next year. Oh, you've made it into the 30 bracket? Make it 40. Oh, you haven't made it to 40? Game's cancelled. Nope, you're done. Business is ended. Why?
Dollars is one thing. Then you release a sequel every single year. Then you add microtransactions to it, loot boxes, a mobile port. You make deadlines smaller so games come out faster. And when all that fails, you fire hundreds of staff to make up the difference and up the price.
I would love to see a world in which corporations didn't get to take over the gaming industry and that game developers actually got to make the games they wanted. They had the time. They weren't influenced by like business suits telling them this is what the game needs to be. This is how much money you need to make. I would love to see a world in which game developers get to make their games how they want to make their games and when they want to make their games, with who they want to make their games. Because I feel like the who is probably a big part actually. Because that includes these suits going, we need you to make your game this way. Whereas if you've got someone who actually knows and has passion for the game, they go, we could do it this way, but this game needs another swamp here and a swamp here and a swamp here. I like Elden Ring. God damn it, Miyazaki.
All of this...
Is it Miyazaki? I can't remember.
...is not in pursuit of making really good video games. It's in pursuit of a golden goose.
Yep.
Why would we make Titanfall 3?
I'm sorry, Marty.
When we could make a free Battle Royale game that has ridiculously expensive in-game events every single month and still has loot boxes in 2023. And even if we do make a classic, lovely, single-player story game for $70, it will have a deluxe edition, and it will be broken at launch.
Yep.
You know, I'm not a console war person.
PC forever, baby.
But Sony still finds a way to make games that actually feel like they're worth the cost and turn a profit.
It's so rare
both
now.
of them, mind you, are exceptions that prove a rule. They're a look into what AAA gaming used to be. No. Is supposed to be. In a weird way,
I agree.
I wonder if it's a blessing. If the AAA industry is eating itself alive with unrealistic deadlines, massive CEO bonuses, and poor employee treatment.
If the CEOs and businesses and corporations and suits end up killing what's considered a AAA gaming industry, and it is essentially left to what we typically might consider to be the good quality games, left to like the indie companies or the AA companies, where they don't have anywhere near as much corporate interference, they kill themselves off. It's their own fault. They kill themselves off and that's it, they're gone. They're out of the way. It might repeat itself later on down the line, but it's very likely they'll just extinct themselves, essentially. If they keep making shoddy games, people give up, they don't buy them, they don't make any money, and then they're out. And then all that's left are the ones that didn't do that. Then maybe those ones eventually get bought up again. It's an endless cycle, or it might be an endless cycle. Who knows? We're not quite there yet. But I think it's very likely they're going to kill themselves off, personally. I think it's very likely that the whole CEO corporation thing might eventually end if they keep releasing these shoddy games or jacking up the price with these microtransactions to a ludicrous extent. And I think that will eventually be the end of them. I don't know how long it will take. It could take another decade or two. Perhaps even more. But I think one day that's probably what's going to happen. That or they have to learn. That or they have to learn. And I don't see that happening, frankly, at the moment.
Will that blend the line between indies and major publishers?
Possibly.
I don't see high-profile games sitting with overwhelmingly positive on Steam, okay? Just one.
Where's everyone going?
Yep.
It's Outer Wilds, Signalis, Deep Rock Galactic, Stardew Valley, and so on. Indies or AA games.
Pretty much is what indies, isn't it?
are the ones that can be as good, if not better, than anything high profile. And all they lose is the ability for photorealistic graphics, which is no longer a selling point like it used to.
Oh god, yeah, that game. The game that's supposed to have like some stupidly highly realistic graphics, isn't it? To the point where it's almost indistinguishable in what's not real and what is. I'm looking forward to seeing what that game ends up like, honestly. Even if the game is crap gameplay-wise, I think just the visuals alone might be able to sell it.
What is price worth to you? You, specifically. $70, $40, $20. What are you even looking to get out of it? Like
70
for some,
hours.
It's just hours. Dollar per hour of game time, I hear some say. Now, these are often those like me who are so deep in the Destiny grind we forgot what sunlight is. Maybe it's narrative fulfillment, a strong story with good characters, which are...
I agree with this one. So I don't like the Last of Us games personally very much. But if you're going in for £1 an hour and you buy, let's say, The Last of Us for 70 quid, 60 quid, whatever, you're not going to get that amount of time out of it. But think of it like a film. I will happily pay 5, 8 quid for a film in a cinema for that movie experience, even though the film might only be at max 3 hours long. I consider games like Last of Us or narrative games to be in that same respect, honestly. Exactly the same. I might not get the amount of hours that I want gameplay-wise, but I get it via another means. Sometimes that's what's needed.
Style game or a Last of Us. Competition, ranked ladders, skill ceiling, Street Fighter, CSGO, or just fun like Mario Kart.
I love Nintendo.
Overcooked. The line between it all is being blurred. Prices fluctuate depending on game. Content fluctuates depending on intention. And AAA is really just a game by a big studio with a big marketing budget. What it really means at this point, it's whatever you make of it. I'm surprised the industry has survived this long. I feel like if it wasn't for a multitude of golden geese, many wouldn't have been able to. But too big to fail is a real thing. Bloons Tower Defense taught me that. And for each Redfall that's put out, there's something there to make the money back. I've always wanted to make a video game, you know, but I don't know.
I wanted to as well, and I did try at one point.
I have ideas, concepts, but that's about it. I can't animate, rig, code, or draw. But I do have 2 things that almost every other startup doesn't. An audience to advertise to and capital to spend. But often people with capital to spend are those exact same Silicon Valley guys that seem like they have no idea what they're doing. So finding a way to not be one of those guys is a little challenging and something I constantly worry about if I ever do want to make a video game. I may in the future, maybe. If I ever do fulfill that dream, I probably wouldn't do it with investors. I do it with Kickstarter. Oh, no money.
Needs to be a passion
have a
project.
Budget, hire a crew, and do my damnedest. And hopefully
I think most indie games are, though, aren't they?
And say to myself, glad I wasn't like these guys. But to be back on topic, a AAA game is something with budget and profile. And in its own right, it does not mean quality. Quality is found for prices other than $70 and by studios that aren't too big to fail. AAA is what you and I make of it. End of story.
The old
definition is dead and the new one is not satisfactory. So go out, look for those overwhelmingly positive games on Steam, support your local indie devs, and also stop releasing broken fucking video games. Please.
Come on. Obviously you're a skater.
I do not think games will ever stop being broken. The thing is, games have gotten a lot more complicated over the decades and years. I think it's going to be a while before we actually get games consistently that are released in a proper way. I think it's going to be a while, unfortunately. Which is really disheartening to say, because there are some games that are fantastic and are complete when they're made. And all these other games kind of just let them down. Which is really kind of a shame, really. Well, that's the industry we're in, unfortunately. But no, thank you very much, Bricky. That video was very enlightening and fantastic. I had a great joy watching that, honestly. As I said before, games are very near and dear to my heart. And it's sad to see the downfall of what games have become. This, I think, puts it in a good perspective as to why some of these bigger games that we may have grown up with, that may have introduced us to gaming or properly set us on the gaming path. Sounds really nerdy when I say it like that. I think this sort of accurately depicts where I think things have probably gone wrong. I absolutely could not have said any of this better myself. Every point, I think most points I made, he actually stated later in the video or just after I mentioned it in the video. So, grats on him. And yeah, thank you very much, Bricky. Thank you so much. I absolutely love this. Thank you guys for watching as well. And I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye-bye now. I'll see you later. Bye.